Welcome back to Feeding Power Podcast. Today we have a very, 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 very special guest. Joanna is going to introduce us to him. He has a lot of knowledge to spill, a lot of tea.
A lot of tea.
A lot of tea of real estate. So Joanna, introduce us. Let's get this started. This is going to be a good episode. Don't miss out.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Today we're here with Hanzel Batista. A lot of you might already know him. And if you don't, this is the episode to get to know him. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you
We're
for
just
having
going to have
me.
him do a small little intro for us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I recently just graduated from law school about, I want to say 3 months ago.
Woo!
Yeah.
Let's go.
Long 4 years. Typically it takes 3, but when you got to work 9 to 5, it took me 4.
Okay.
So I'm done with law school and I strictly work for a law firm right now, real estate law firm in Smithtown, as some of you might know, Julio and Delisle. We're also a title company too,
Awesome.
Equity Settlement Services.
Perfect.
Perfect. And the most exciting part about having him here is that we have already done a lot of business with him, so we can actually speak here how we work and how he works, and he's also bilingual.
Yes. My Spanish isn't the best. Like I was telling Louis and Joanna, my parents were born in DR, and Dominicans, we tend to have a lot of slang.
Freestyle.
And listen, I try to take that with me into like the business world.
Yeah.
And I had clients just look at me like I had 3 heads, like roof, right?
Yeah.
How do you say roof in Spanish? Like
Un techo,
el techo, right? So like with Dominicans, when I was growing up, it was like rufo. We would say rufo. And that was the exact response I would get.
Yeah.
People would laugh. So
a lot of freestyle when it comes to that
Yeah.
culture. How do you say taxes in Spanish?
so now I know it's impuestos.
How'd you say it before?
I didn't say it before. Like
You would
I
say
didn't even
los-
know.
los
Like, I would say
taxes.
Los taxes. Yeah, exactly.
So I noticed that it's not even taxes for them. Like, we would say like, no, you're right. It's only impuestos, but they
Okay.
would say like taxes.
Oh my God.
Taxes with S. And then I'm like, oh, that's, how you say it. And I'm like, los taxes. Like, what? And they're like, oh, you mean the taxes? And I'm like, hey, I can't keep up with this. Yeah.
But like, it's Spanish is a skill, just like anything else. The more you do it, the better you get at it.
100%.
So I started probably like March of 2020. I got into this business. I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
But, with a lot of businesses nowadays, they throw you into the fire.
100%.
It's like sink or swim.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when you first came into Julio Delisle, you were working with attorney Chris, and I remember he was just like, all right, this is Hanzel. He's going to do your closing.
Yeah.
And I was like, And if I'm not mistaken, I think that closing was 2020. No, we were not.
I think it was 2020.
Yeah,
Where it was McNamara's office.
Yeah, but it was not before the pandemic. It was a little bit before the pandemic, right?
Yeah, it was.
It was like
before.
we were about to get we were near getting shut down, but like we didn't know we were getting.
It
shut
was like
down.
that weird area transition.
Yeah,
area, right? So
I
like,
remember.
I remember it was one of my first closings. I was so nervous. I was so nervous. Like I'm sitting next to someone who's making the biggest decision of their
100%.
life. And hey, I'm new. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like I'm here to represent you. It was such a nervous feeling.
How do you feel about it now, though?
Now I'm more confident, right? Like I go into closings. I got probably like over 100 closings under my belt by now. I'm more confident. What I've noticed is that clients they want someone who's confident, knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So the last thing you want is your attorney to get to the table and they're nervous, they're sweating, and they don't know what the hell's going on.
100%.
They're gonna look at you like, well, what the hell is this? Like,
It's one of the most important part of, well, especially for this investment for real estate, it's one of the most important part, which is your attorney in this.
Yeah.
And what made you get into the real estate legal side?
So I want to separate the two, right? We got legal, we got real estate, right?
Yeah.
Because for me, I've always wanted to be an attorney, right? Since I was like 16, right?
Yeah.
When I was in high school, one of the teachers, they offered like this like law school program where like we would do like reenact like a trial procedure, right? And I remember like being in it, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I want to be an attorney. And since since the age of 16, I've always wanted to be an attorney. I've known it like since 16. I didn't even go to like my high school graduation, I didn't go to my undergrad graduation, right? When I got my bachelor's degree, I didn't go to it because I knew that eventually I wanted to go to law school and become an attorney, right? So I made sure I went to that graduation, right? But so that I always knew that I wanted to be an attorney. Now for real estate has always been like a passion for me. Like, aside from the legal end of it, right? Because I think a lot of people in this country, become successful through real estate.
100%.
So yes, I want to be an attorney, but I also want to be part of real estate, right?
Yeah.
Invest and stuff like that. So eventually I just thought like, hey, maybe I should merge the two, right?
Yeah.
And become a real estate attorney.
Yeah.
That's how it really played out for me.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, now that you said that, I mean, so yesterday Joanna and I were at an event, and one of the speakers said, I think he said 75 or 80% of the wealth in the whole country is built by real estate, and those are the wealthiest people have been built by real estate. So
Amen.
I think for anyone who's looking to create something, real estate, no matter what aspect of it, just real estate in general offers so much opportunities. If you're a lender, real estate agent like myself, or an attorney like you, Hanzel, even appraisers, home inspectors. We have our car at EPM who does the listing, picture. There's just so many fields within the real estate industry.
It opens so many doors.
Yeah. Then how many people do you see at the closing table? Like, right, you have the bank attorney.
Oh, my goodness. So, like, it's a COVID nightmare, right? Like, I've had, like, my receptionist say, whoa, wait. You can't have all these people in here.
Yeah.
But it's such a huge accomplishment for certain buyers that, sometimes you're like, just let them in. Like, at this point, like they want to be part of something that's great. And I didn't realize it until, like, I recently bought a house in March.
Yeah.
And I just remember looking at my parents. They were so happy for me, and I didn't understand why. But it's such a big accomplishment. I get it now. And my girlfriend and I, we have relatives that are just sending stuff to our house. Yeah. Right? Like a blender, or like, they're like just happy for us, like genuinely happy. Yeah. And I didn't understand it, but now I get it. It's a big accomplishment.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. It's one of the most important investments you will do too.
100%.
I agree. Now, I remember when the pandemic hit, and then they said, okay, we're going to limit how many people come to the closing table. The first ones out were the real estate agents, because they don't need to be there. The lender, we just get used. We're the reason that everyone sits there. And like,
you guys are like the Wizard of Oz. You're like behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Like, no one ever gets to see you guys.
Yes. Yeah. And then ever since, it was like, you know what? Because I was so new to the career that I used to go to the closings to get the little gifts going, the little picture.
Yeah.
And ever since, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go. And I no longer attend the closings. To this point, I don't. But it's just like he mentioned, at that closing table, there's so many people there. It's like you got the title, the seller's attorneys, the buyer's attorneys.
But I love it, though, honestly, because I'm more of the type, like, the more the merrier, right? And listen, like, everyone works hard to get to that closing.
Yeah, 100%.
Everybody works hard to get to that closing table. And we're all working towards the same goal, right?
100%.
Like, and that's what I love about real estate law, because it's very non-adversarial, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have other areas of law where it's like this, right? It's like
Correct.
this. They're fighting.
Yeah.
Real estate, the seller wants to sell, the buyer wants to buy. We all want the same
Yeah,
thing.
it's like the meeting of the minds. Like, everybody's like, if they're already okay. They're on the same page. They're on the same goal. Like, everybody just wants to get to the finish line, get the deal done. Yeah. So what would you say? 2020. So you've been in it for about a year and a half now, right?
Half,
so
I'm an old man.
So what would you say is everybody has, like, fun experiences, they have bad experiences, they have like the worst experience. Yeah. So what would you say, like, your worst experience has been so far?
My worst experience, and this is, while I was still in law school, and, working kind of like as a paralegal, legal assistant type of thing. Yeah. I saw a buyer lose his down payment.
Oh,
That's probably the worst experience you ever want to see. Like how down payments are.
100%.
They're like $15,000 almost. Yeah. Right? Even more sometimes.
100%.
And just to see, because, the buyer was in default of the contract.
Yeah.
The seller was like, you're breaking the contract and you wasted my time.
Yeah.
And the seller essentially took his down payment.
Wow.
And we really couldn't do much about it. So I try to explain to my buyers whenever they meet with me, hey, listen, you have to be 100% sure you want to buy this house.
Yeah.
Right? You can't play games.
Yeah.
You're giving me a big check
100%.
right now.
Yeah.
That's part of the whole entire team, and the agent, the lender, not just the attorney, to understand that this is something important. We're not just gonna go put a ring. Like you gotta make sure, because we can't be getting cold feet after, and then they're gonna keep the ring.
Oh my God, yes. And we know how people try to come back for that ring.
Yes, exactly. So now, what would you say makes you Hanzel Batista different from other attorneys that are out there?
Well, first and foremost, I'm Hispanic, right? I don't know too many Hispanic attorneys, to be honest with you. I really don't. And then, I'm more on the younger side on top of things.
Yeah.
Right? More energy.
Yeah, and I tell this to all my realtors. I tell this to Louis all the time, the loan officers all the time. I'm young, I'm hungry, right? So I'm going to work weekends. I'm going to work nights. I'm going to work holidays. I was drafting contracts this last holiday. What was it? With Labor Day?
Labor Day. Yes.
Terrible holidays.
I thought it was more
Labor Day. If you asked me what I was doing, I was working. So I don't mind working. Right? I think that's what separates me from everyone else. I'm young. I'm hungry. I'm bilingual.
La FUERZA.
La FUERZA. Yeah. So, I think that's what separates me from the rest. Honestly.
Now, what would you say the agency you work for?
Oh, so with Pullion Delisle. So we're special in the sense that we have a title company with us, big machine behind us, right? So part of getting to the closing table is title. Title's a huge thing, right?
100%.
So with title, we have to make sure that everything's clear before the buyers move in, right?
100%.
Now, it's so much easier when we have common ownership, right? Because we have a lot of, leeway, right? Autonomy, right? So we get to make certain decisions, right? When that title report shows up, and if we want to omit things or just to get things through.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's huge, just having that big machine behind you. Yeah,
honestly. And a nice team you have. And I can say this because, again, we have done many businesses with Hanzel and, his agency. The team, everything, it just goes so smooth. You take care of the clients, like from point A to point B, and the fact that you are bilingual, it just makes things so much easier.
And the whole team is bilingual, too.
And the whole team is bilingual.
That's what makes it. My whole team, and I think, and you guys could speak about this. Communication is big in this.
100%.
Yeah.
So when someone calls me, I always try to pick up. Like, I can feel my phone buzzing right now. And it's killing me inside.
But communication, that's right.
Yeah, communication is everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Working with you guys, it really feels like not even work because of the communication and also the relationship that there is, like Melanie, Jennifer, doesn't even feel like we're just close. Like, hey, what did you eat today?
Those are my sisters right there. Yeah, like, and I could speak about Lisa. Like Lisa, oh my God, I love Lisa. Like she would call me. Like I referred clients to you guys, right? Like close friends of mine. Yes. I referred clients to you guys, and she would call me. Like I was leaving work, she would call me, hey. Jonathan just got pre-approved, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. Thank you, Lisa. Like, I didn't even have to call her. I didn't have to hunt her down.
And I think I think Joanna built that part of the team because that's hard to build too. And Joanna was, she's been able to train Lisa to the point where even like Melanie and Jennifer have sent deals to me, and they're like, here, give it to Joanna. I'm like, nope. I'm like, give it to Lisa. Lisa's gonna take care of it because I'm not gonna have the same follow up game. Like
it's a great system, but again, like he mentioned, even if I train, like training Lisa and training the system, at the end of the day, you need the right people. Because as much as I can train her, I can't make her give you that phone call.
Exactly.
I can't make her send that email.
And that's effort, right?
That's
that's
where it's like, you know what? Joe's not going to know if I do or don't, but I'm going to go ahead and I will call him.
And not everyone has that.
So exactly. Not everybody has that.
And that's what your team also has, which is effort all the time at all times. Like, your girls, they will send emails when it's off day. It's off time. You're out of the clock and you're still there communicating.
I think that's what certain business owners they fail to realize. Not everybody's going to have the same drive as you.
Yeah, 100%.
You can't expect someone to to have that drive as a business owner. You have more stake in the game.
That's
right?
But nobody's honestly, and I learned something, and I learned the hard way. Even if you want people to have the same drive as you, you could put money in front of them, motivation and everything. They're never gonna have the same drive as you because remember, they're always gonna be the
food.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're always gonna be the employee, you know. So at the end of the day, you know, like I said, even if you put $1 million in front of them, that might not even motivate them, you know, to do what you're telling them. So
it's not their passion.
Yeah, it's not. Right? You know, and that's what we all are. We're passionate about what we do. We love helping our community. We love helping our Spanish people, right?
Oh my God. So when I get a Spanish speaking client, like at a closing table, it warms my
he
heart,
speaks
honestly.
fluent Spanish then.
I mean, your Spanish is great. I was just listening to you have the conversation for the podcast.
It was kind of brutal. It was brutal. But it's, like I said, it's a skill, and I'm working on it.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, speaking of the language, like we were mentioning, it's very complex. Like, you don't understand how one word can mean many things in many different
100%.
cultures.
Yeah.
And we're not dealing with just our own culture. We're dealing with so many type of languages that, you know, even though everyone's like, oh, this is the proper way to say things.
Yeah.
We were just saying, like, even the accent on the Spanish accent, it could be 100%. Like, what did you just say? You know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's more of a reason why I like having so many people at the closing table.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I got Louis from a different part of the world.
Yeah.
I got you from a different part of the world. So if my clients don't understand what I'm trying to convey to them, maybe you guys could do it.
100%.
Right? You know what I'm saying? But, I mean...
Yeah, and it's great, like, cause like you learn people, like, and just as not aside from the Spanish community, like we work with like different, you know, like I can mention people from like different like countries that I never even heard of. Where I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, I never even like our car is from Burma. You know where Burma is? No. That's in Asia, bro. I never even heard of that.
I got an F in like geography. Like, I'm terrible.
He was like, I'm from Burma. I'm like, what? Like, what is that? Like, I never heard of it. But then like you like, you know, like you said, it's a cultural thing. Like, and then now you sit at the table, you're like, and people tell stories at the closing table,
and
like,
that's another beauty of it, right? Because you get to meet new people every day, right? 100%. And it's meeting different cultures. And it's, you know. It's amazing, honestly. It really is.
Now, speaking of that, which is, you know, it's such an amazing experience, and obviously we work with all type of cultures, but the reason why is because I always mention the Spanish because that's the language I know. You know, I wish I can know, and there's a Rosetta Stone, I wish I can speak every other language, but if there's something I do know, obviously I'm going to go, like you said, I'm going to be so happy to be able to help on that side. But now that we're speaking of that, would you say that's your favorite part of what you do, or what is the favorite part for your profession?
My favorite part really is just getting to the closing table.
Yeah.
Because that's the culmination of everyone's hard work.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of times you guys don't show, well, not a lot of times, but sometimes you guys don't show up because you can't, right?
Yeah.
I have to be there.
Yeah.
Right? I have to be there, and I'm essentially, you know, representing everyone. I'm
100%.
Representing all of us, right? Because we're a team
100%.
at the end of the day. So just to see that smile for that family, right, is everything.
Yeah,
it's everything.
Especially after all the stress, the tension,
goodness.
You know,
my
and especially like we're dealing with Joanna, like the clients are like, oh my god, nah, I'm kidding.
We're gonna save that for the other podcast.
Right? What just happened?
Yeah, right. Stir it up a little, you know.
Wait, no, I got. What did you say?
You got lost?
I got lost. Like,
Wow.
especially dealing with Johanna. I'm like, what is the favorite part?
You threw a little jab at you.
I mean, you know, especially like, cause you know, especially Joanna can like back me up on this. You know, like buyers sometimes, you know, they're in stressful situations where they need to leave their home. You know, like their place where they're renting,
their leases
or
up, right?
Or maybe, you know, and during the COVID, like we had people who were getting unemployed left and right. So you know, and imagine like people they tell their landlords like, hey, I'm buying a house. So now the landlord knows like, okay, you have to move. And now they're stuck between like, am I really buying this house or like, and you know, dealing with that, and now you getting to the closing table is like, finally, right?
And I also want to add to that. Sometimes it's not only the buyer, right? Like you don't get to see this much, but the sellers. Sometimes they're happy.
I deal with that a lot.
You know, I've had sellers where they have tenants. Haven't paid them
100%
rent for a long time, and they're stressing over it. And,
yeah.
and they're going through hard times themselves.
You know, it's funny, man. Like, and I'm gonna put it out there. Like, you know, there's people taking advantage of the system. You know that, right? You know, it's funny. We met last week at Pulu de Lalo, right? And I was Brianne and myself. We went to grab lunch, and I was talking to the owner of the restaurant, and he was telling, like, because he overheard me say that I'm in real estate. Yeah. So we were talking, and he was like telling me that one of his friends is a landlord, was also in the same position. He couldn't get rent for his home, but the tenants had bought a brand new truck, and they had a brand new boat. Yeah. And the guy,
a
boat. Yeah, bro. A boat, bro. A brand new boat and a brand new truck. Where you gonna put the tenant was putting it in the landlord's house. Wow. Bro. So he proved the court, like, hey, like, you know, he's not paying. Look, here's his new car and here's his new boat. And unfortunately, you know, like the eviction moratorium, they got extended again. They gave him a court date, and now they're like, all right, bye. Your court date's until like next year.
Boat to live in.
And you know, now with the courts opening up, right, it's gonna be backlog.
But do you think it's gonna open up like right now, or I think it's gonna be longer than that?
It'll probably be longer than that. Yeah, it'll probably be longer than that because you could only hear so many cases at one point. Yeah. You know, right. They're getting slammed. Honestly. Yeah. It's unfortunate that certain landlords have to go through that. I think, you know, some landlords, they get overlooked because, oh, you make money, you're okay.
Yeah.
You know, you have a housing.
Everyone needs to survive. Everyone needs to get
100%. And I mean, it's the same thing with Joanna and our buyers, like the buyers that we work with, they're not highly paid. They're more, I would consider them like, I don't want to say farm.
Middle class?
Yeah, like middle class, you know. You know, and
they come in with 4 borrowers.
Yeah, 3 or 4 borrowers.
5 different W-2s.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, so many gaps, so many things, and then it's just.
And then we run title on.
And then
all those buyers.
the money is, the money is under the mattress.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Or they made a large deposit.
And we get those questions too, and I'm like, speak to Joanna. Because when it comes to the money side, like, like, we really don't care that much, right? Like, okay, like you're writing us a check. We know we have to give it to the seller. Yeah. But then they ask me like, well, it's coming from a different bank account. Oh, like, did you clear with Joanna?
And that's another thing that we have never had an issue with you because I have had attorneys that have taken down payments that they know they can't source. Like, it's a real estate transaction. You're a real estate attorney. 100%. Why wouldn't you ask, can this down payment be sourced by your lender?
Yeah. So that,
and
so
it's like,
right away.
Next thing you know, I'm like, where did the money come from? Well, you know, it was a cash check, and it was like completely cash, and it was a bank check, and I went with and I'm like,
it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. So
I think we had one time where a guy was like,
you're like, no, speak to your lender again, because the thing is, it's such a big investment. Before, it used to like get me frustrated. He'll remember, like, we will tell our clients, please don't use cash, please don't use cash. And what would they do?
Oh my goodness.
First thing they do right after the contract signing, put in cash.
I'm gonna tell you a funny story. I had one client show up. I can't remember who was the real estate agent who it was referred by, but he showed up, and I said, you know, we went over the contract. He signed the contract, and when it was time to give his down payment, he pulled out his debit card.
Oh,
I'm like, what?
Well, that's different.
Did you say, wait?
Did you think I was gonna say?
I thought he was gonna bring the suitcase.
I never had that happen to me.
But I've heard of it too,
where like people show up to the closing table with a bag.
I mean, if it's a debit, you're just like, all right, you know, just go to the bank and go get a bank check. But I thought you were gonna say like pure cash.
Oh no, I've heard stories of.
Yeah, I've heard a couple. I heard a couple from like Pulu de Laos, like the attorneys in there, like. Some like people bringing like up to like 15 checks.
Cause
you
get certain investors and they like, oh, forget it. They think that they could. Hey, they throw cash at everything.
And that's why again the team is very important because those little things can be avoided, you know, by having the right people.
Yeah. So you know when I'm signing contracts with them and I see that I'm getting a check from, you know, an account that doesn't have their name. You know, I call you guys. I say, listen, they're writing a check from this account.
Yeah.
We all work together, exactly.
Yeah, 100%. And we make it happen because at the end of the day, like, you know, time is money and money is time. And at the end of
right,
yeah, I'm gonna get it tatted on my
chest. Right, that's what it is. And I so I mean, for us, it's important to get to that closing table. So for agents, buyers, so pretty much I would say walk us to a contract. Like, what is on the contract? Because there's like for you is probably like easy, but for for us as well, because we're a team and you explain it to us.
The only thing I'm looking as a land in a contract is that the address is correct, because I also have that in a contract, like wrong zip codes, wrong stuff, and it's like the names is correct,
and the purchase
price. The date isn't like from 1999.
Yeah,
so I'm looking at that, the date. I'm looking at what it is with the down payment. If like when it's gonna be settlement day, when they want the commitment, the honor and about date, and most important to see like what are the writers and everything. But like the question he asked is like, what should we be looking at, or walk us through it?
Or maybe there's a buyer, right, that's out there, like, and and we'll make a clip like so you can share it out there as well, right? Sure. So and the contract is like what, like 10 pages about?
It's a little more than that. It's probably like maybe 20 pages.
Okay, so 20 pages,
20 pages.
So what would you say is the most important clause in that contract?
So there's about, I want to say there's about 60 clauses. The most important by far is, and it's typically in almost every contract, clause 8.
Okay.
The mortgage contingency clause.
Okay.
It basically says that the whole contract is contingent on the buyers getting a mortgage commitment from their lender.
100%.
Right? Because, certain people, through no fault of their own, they get denied for their mortgage.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you get denied for your mortgage, how can you buy a house for $500,000?
Yeah.
You don't have this loan.
100%.
So it basically says that if you get denied, from your lender for the mortgage, you get your down payment back.
Yeah.
And that is by far probably the most important clause of the contract.
Now, what happens if they receive the commitment letter, but the commitment letter always has conditions because it's not declared to close?
Yeah.
And then because of certain whatever condition it is, now the bank can't fulfill and then denies you the loan, but you already met with the commitment letter. What happens then?
So that's when we get into muddy waters, right? Because then it's like we issued a commitment, right? And the contract is conditioned on you getting a mortgage commitment. So we just gave the seller the commitment. So now the contract essentially is in effect, right? So now when you can't clear your conditions, now the seller is going to say, hey, I'm going to keep your down payment because you
gave me a commitment.
You gave me your commitment,
correct.
Which, it essentially, activates the contract.
But even if they can prove like it was denied by like something not
like they lost their job.
Yeah, like negligent.
Like, listen, in this country, you could litigate almost anything, right?
Yeah.
Like you could sue anything. You could sue anyone for almost anything, right?
Right.
So if the seller wants to say, hey, you wasted my time, I'm going to take you to court, then it gets into litigation, and that's up to court to decide whether the seller is entitled to the buyer's down payment.
Yeah.
So, but if you don't get that mortgage commitment, it doesn't, affect everything, right? It doesn't turn clause 8 and activates everything.
Yeah. So what if they didn't get the mortgage commitment, but they got denied? Then they would get their
down payment.
But they have to be within that time frame of the mortgage commitment.
Yeah. And they have to be working in good faith, right? Because we have certain buyers who they're not working in good faith.
Yeah,
meaning like, okay, I want to buy this house, right?
Yeah.
I'm giving you the down payment. I'm signing the contract. Seller signs. Okay, we're fully executed. Now the buyer sees a house down the street, right? And they say, oh, I don't want this house anymore. I want the house down the street. So when Joanna calls me to get bank statements and, pay stubs, I'm not going to pick it up.
Yeah.
I don't want to get the mortgage. Yeah. So now you're working in bad faith and you're dragging your feet. Yeah. Right. So now the seller can, go to court and say, hey, I know they didn't give me a mortgage commitment, but it's because he was working in bad faith.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So as long as you're working in good faith, you could always get your down payment back prior to the mortgage commitment. Yeah. And I don't want to say always.
Of course.
And that's why it's also very important to have a good, attorney that can explain it to them and not have them, because a lot of things that I see also is that everyone for us, and I keep reminding this to Luis, for us is second nature, everything, like second language, everything that we're doing. So sometimes we forget that for this people, everything is so complicated.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like
100%.
saying, you know, this is, they're like, what did you just say?
Yeah.
Even though we think that we're being so clear, we have to break it down for them.
Yeah.
So for us, it's like, okay, we're going to get the commitment letter. You know, we look at the contract. We look at, okay, it's going to be here. But we have to explain this to the client. We have to explain, listen, this is why I need your documents on time. I know that this is going to happen, this, and that. And the attorney comes in and say, okay, listen, we're not going to lose your down payment, but here's how we're not going to do that.
But I think that's why, you know, being young is a good thing in this business.
100%.
Because I think in a lot of professions, when you do something for such a long time and you get to that certain age and you get that respect, that notoriety, you tend to lose that.
It's like you don't have a spark no more.
Yeah, people lose that. Like I've seen older attorneys get to the closing table and they go sign here, sign here, sign here, sign here. They're not explaining 100%. Anything to their client who doesn't know anything. Who doesn't know. But it's like this thing where like I've done it for such a long time. You don't need to question me type of thing.
Yeah. And you know, I was going to say that's the best part about our team is that we educate our clients. So even though I'm not on the lending side or the attorney side or, you know, any of the other steps, but we're able to educate our client and connect them with the right people so they're at least an educated buyer or an educated seller, you know. Because I've been in situations where I work with several attorneys and they drop the ball, or they don't, you know, they don't educate the client on the contract like you were speaking about, right? And like you said, 2 days after the contract signing, they want to back out or, you know, I had one instance where the buyer went on vacation for 2 months to Mexico, and then he came back and he's like, yeah, when we're closing, I'm like, dude, where were you for the last 2 months when we needed documents? He's like, what do you mean? I thought that was it. So then he lost half of his down payment.
And
you know,
that's the worst.
So I would have made sure like he would have taken me on vacation if he was going.
Yeah, he was. You I don't know. You're gonna have to find him a job over there in Mexico or something.
And listen, that's the worst thing. Like on the legal side, that's the worst thing for us to see someone's down payment is gone,
vanish. That's it.
That's the worst. The most important thing for us is to protect our client 100%. And their down payment. Most important thing.
Correct. Absolutely. Is there anything else that we haven't touched or we haven't asked you that would like to share for today's episode?
Julio Delisle, law firm, Equity Settlement Services. You guys need legal advice, legal representation, please call us at 631-715-3490. You could ask for Hanzel. I promise you, I am the only Hanzel in there.
Awesome.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Hanzel, for being with us in this episode and sharing your experience. And congratulations again for all your accomplishments.
Thank you.
And you're going to keep growing. And, you know, hopefully we'll continue doing business with you. And I know that's for sure. And you're closing it down.
Okay, Hanzel, one more thing.
Okay.
Give us one advice, right? I always ask everybody this, right? Because everybody has a different opinion on it. So one advice for anyone, maybe young, older, looking to get into real estate, law, or just opening their first business, because this is your own business, you know, this is your own brand. This is, you know, this is very important to us. So for anyone watching this video, after everything we spoke about, which was great, give us a piece of advice.
Piece of advice. Educate yourself. It sounds corny, it sounds cliche, but I truly believe knowledge is power. You have to, and knowledge at 2021, you get on Google, you find anything, right? So educate yourself before you do anything. An educated buyer is a great buyer, right? A successful buyer. So just educate yourself and don't lose that spark that we spoke about earlier, right? Like just
get it. Put it on.
Go get it. Yeah.
Get up, wake up, do your shit,
exactly.
get it done. That's it.
Dress up, show up, and make it happen.
Make it happen. Yep.
Amazing.
All right. Well, you guys heard it. That's Hanzel's advice on this podcast. Today, we're going to... I fucked up. That was a bad ending. Make sure that ending... I'm so sorry, guys.
No.
All right. So we'll see you guys in the next episode. Very excited. And we have many more episodes coming up. Can't wait to share with you guys. So bad. That was bad, right?
Take
Yeah,
3.
thank you for watching.
Thank you. Yo, all right.
That's it. That's the end.
Just end it there.
We're gonna do like a bloopers.
That's it. Yeah, the bloopers. That was good.